A very warm welcome back to the channel. It's that time of the week. We are looking ahead to the weekend's fixture. We take on Birmingham City in the Sky Bet Championship this Saturday with a 3 o'clock kickoff, and it's opposition view time. And each and every game that we play in the Championship or in the Cup, we get the opposition on the channel. And I'm very pleased to welcome back Sam to the channel. Massive Birmingham City fan. He has created content around Birmingham over the years, but you're doing something slightly different now, Sam. Give the viewers a little bit of an idea of what you're up to in the game of football at this moment in time, because I was quite intrigued when you were telling me off camera a minute ago.
Hi guys, yeah, nice to be back on the channel, and I'm currently doing audio description commentary covering Birmingham City for Alan March Sports. So this service provides commentary for the blind and visually impaired people that attend the game. So it's kind of filling in the blanks almost in terms of what's happening on the pitch and just providing that additional level of context really for the people that are blind and visually impaired to be able to enjoy the game as much as they can.
Yeah, it's brilliant what you're doing. Are you enjoying it, Sam?
Yes, I'm enjoying it. I must admit, it is very challenging. It's more challenging than TV and radio, because I think like we kind of take a lot of what we see for granted in terms of like where the players are on the pitch and like the area that the ball is. So it's been a bit of a factory reset for me, actually, like learning a lot of these new description techniques and then applying them into this commentary. So it's a lot of new things to learn. It has been challenging, but I'm certainly enjoying that challenge at the moment.
And it sets you up so well as well in terms of your knowledge of the game. You're studying games and watching games probably closer now than you've ever looked at before, aren't you?
Exactly, and I think a lot of it now is not so much to do with like the statistics around the surrounding players, but more so like the movement of the players on the pitch as well. And you really come to analyze like sort of positions that players pick up and that, and especially in football nowadays, you know, there's a formation that's set on paper or whatever, but it's so flexible throughout the game. I mean, teams change now formations like 3-4 times a game. So a player that started off at right back may end up the game sort of partnering the striker. You just never know really. So it's a lot of it going through the motions of what happens in a game, and then also being able to describe it for the people that are blind and visually impaired to try and just, as I said, enhance their match day experience and make it as good as possible.
No, it's really good. It's brilliant what you're doing. I'm fascinated by it. So congratulations, Sam. Sounds really good, and something you're doing that's so worthwhile for people as well. And a lot of us just take it all so for granted watching games of football, and it's not as easy for others. I had you on in the summer. We did a club focus, didn't we, on Birmingham? I looked at the newly promoted clubs to the Championship, and Birmingham fascinated me because of the ownership and the plans for Birmingham. Before we come on to the City, just kind of building off the back of that show we did, there's been the announcement around the new stadium, which you spoke to me about before, that was going to be, it's in the making. They were going to announce it. The new stadium, by the way, Sam, how impressive does that look, by the way?
Yeah, it's one of those moments where I'm sure, like myself, like a lot of the fans looked at the original plans and just there was so much to look at that you didn't know what to comment on first, because it's been titled the Powerhouse as like a sort of working project title. And just the whole sort of atmosphere around the place regarding what they're going for with the chimneys that obviously stand out straight away. That's to do with the sort of industrial background of the city of Birmingham and the amount of sort of tradespeople that worked in the city and sort of paying tribute to the history of the city, while also incorporating a lot of new things to this ground as well, because you look inside the stadium and the fans are very close to the action. They're trying to sort of build the stadium to be as hostile as possible for any sort of away fans that are going / players, because just the stands are so steep, and the amount of people that you fit into this area, it just looks magnificent. And the plans are so hefty and very knighthead of them, because there's a lot of people that said that the plans won't happen and continue to say that. But I think with all this ambition that we're seeing and what Knighthead have done so far, I really feel like the sky's the limit for them. So a lot of Birmingham fans are just very much on this journey and waiting to see what happens next, because we've been surprised many times before. And I'm thinking that this stadium, beyond its completion, what could happen with the city, we don't know. But it is exciting nevertheless.
Yeah, it is. It looks really, really good. And you're building the stadium in a really good time, because like back when we built our stadium, St Mary's, there was a lot of new stadiums there's a lot of clubs needing new stadiums. They were like, the Premier League was getting bigger and you needed to get more people into stadia, and Southampton, Derby, Leicester, MK Dons, you could reel them off, all ended up with grounds that were all very, very similar, very, very, very samey, a little bit soulless. But you're doing something so unique, and you look at what Everton have done, you look at what Tottenham have done. I'm really intrigued by the Birmingham City project. I'm actually really excited by it, because it does look like it's going to be something different. It's going to have its own identity, and a lot of these clubs don't have their own identity. So, yeah, you must be really excited for what they plan to do.
Very, very excited for it, and I think you've hit the nail on the head there when it comes to identity. Because although there are, some fans, none of Birmingham, that are looking at the stadium going, "Oh, it looks like a bit of a mess," or like not the prettiest from the outside or whatever. What it does have is character, and I'm sure that when it gets built, those chimneys also serve another purpose, because you can imagine what they're going to do with them in terms of trying to generate as much revenue as possible. I've heard already that people are going to go to like the top of it, and you can have this like viewing experience where there's going to be like restaurants on top of there and light shows and everything, and they're just trying to really do as much as they can with the infrastructure to create something that is purely unique, and that's what I love about the new stadium design in particular.
Yeah, it looks good. It's exciting, and it's been a good start to the season. Let's be honest, you're probably fairly happy with the start of the season. We spoke at the start, so I know what your aspirations were going into this season, and I look at the performances on the field. You've been a fairly good start, hasn't it? Really, Sam?
Pretty good start, and I think the season that we've had so far, it kind of measures up to what the Birmingham fans were expecting, because there was a lot of Blues fans pre-season that were pretty bullish about our chances of trying to go back to back and doing what, say for instance, in recent years Ipswich done, and go from League One to Premier League straight away. But I feel like with the current climate of the Championship, a lot of the teams that were predicted to do well aren't really living up to that expectation at the moment.
No.
Yet it's still been a tough division where anybody can essentially beat anybody in this league. So there's still so much of the season to go, and I feel like the teams that have not hit the ground running yet, that were the bookies' favourites, will end up gaining some momentum and will be in that playoff picture. So the fact that we're in 8th place at this stage of the season puts us right in that playoff mix, and not too far away to make up that ground. So I feel like where we are, I'm pretty comfortable with at the moment.
Yeah, you've had a better start than we have, that's for sure. And yeah, you've definitely got a bit of momentum. We'll talk about key players in a moment, but I was looking at the head-to-head stats actually before you come on, and obviously we played the same amount of games, and the one thing that just stood out for me is the amount of clean sheets more than us. You have 5 compared to our 3. Loads of other things are very similar in terms of goals scored, goals conceded, but clean sheets have been it's been to get 5 already. It's not bad, is it, really, as a newly promoted club?
And I imagine a lot of those clean sheets have come at home, because our home form is much better than our away form at the moment. And that's something that I expected going into this season, because the whole of last season in League One, in the league, we were unbeaten at home and really made St Andrews a fortress once again. And this season, that record has gone, because we lost 3-2 to Hull. But other than that result, a lot of our home performances have been really solid. And the first day of the season against Ipswich, there was a lot of people watching that, because the Premier League hadn't started yet, and people just wanted their football fix. So a lot of neutrals are watching that game and commenting on us and saying, "Oh, Birmingham look up for it this season." And I feel like from that game onwards, the home form has been fairly good, and a lot of clean sheets, as you said, and also some big scorelines as well, because we went on a streak after that whole game of winning 4-0, 4-0 and 4-1. So it's that defensive solidity, then it's also scoring goals as well. And away from home, we're yet to kind of replicate that form, but I'm hoping that sort of coming to the new year and the players get more familiar with each other, then that's going to come.
Yeah, you did have a really good start. If you look back across the games you've played so far, what stands out to you as like your best performance from the team you've seen?
The best performance could arguably be the 2-1 win against Watford on Monday, because although the scoreline might not suggest that it was like an amazing performance, we really gritted it out. And that's something that we weren't asked a lot of in League One. In League One, a lot of the victories, although they were, your 1-0s or your 2-0s, they were just pretty dominant, where the other team would have 3 or 4 shots in the game. But Watford in the second half really did pile on the pressure, and we stuck together as a team, even though we conceded a goal in like the 65th minute. From the 65th to the 95th, we defended superbly, and that's something that we didn't have to do a lot of in League One, like I said. But in the Championship, we know we're going to come up against better opposition, but the fact that we can keep our shape and limit the chances to a team that of Watford's calibre, it shows that we're up for the fight, and I think that's something that's improved from the League One season now to the Championship season.
Murray Gray returned in the summer. I watched him the other night, and I see a really good player in him. How's he performed, Murray Gray, this season so far?
Murray Gray took a while to get going. I think that was, again, expected because of his Saudi Arabia time there where perhaps the match fitness wasn't quite to the level of the Championship, where it's really intense. And Gray spoke about this himself, where he said that, you know, the level of fitness required to play in Saudi Arabia versus England is very different because the game's a lot faster. So it took a while for Gray to adapt, but I feel like once now he has, and he's got used to the teammates around him, he's been a really good player for us. And that goal he scored against Watford was superb, you know, cutting inside the box and then bending his shot into the top corner. It was a really good goal. And I feel like with Gray, he offers a lot more than goals as well. He's a real moments player. And I say that in a good way because he's someone that can just provide that moment of quality that it's kind of a step above the Championship, because you see how long he spent in the Premier League playing for Leicester and Everton. He's someone that's proven that he can perform at the top level. And we're hoping that at Birmingham, adding someone of that caliber can then take us to the Premier League.
Yeah, talk to me about Patrick Roberts. He's your highly rated player. I was looking at SofaScore today to see who's been performing, your best performer. He's got the best average rating at this moment in time with 7.09. Patrick Roberts, how good's he been?
Well, the Sunderland fans call Roberts the mini Messi, and I can see why, because his ability just purely with both feet and his dribbling is just insane. And you can see why he's been a player that's been highly rated and why he's got that highest average rating, because he's someone that Blues fans have been crying out for years, because usually in, you know, the pre-Knighthead era, we'd be signing players that are kind of over the hill and have had their better moments at other clubs. But I feel like with Roberts now, he could have stayed with Sunderland in the Premier League. I know that was an option for him, but he wanted to get game time, and he's made the step back down to the Championship. And he's joined Birmingham because Chris Davis was his assistant manager at Celtic, and he was there when Roberts was a youngster 10 years ago, and he spoke really highly of Davis then. And then he's now returned to the Championship to play for Birmingham under Chris Davis, and I feel like that connection has really worked well. And Roberts was initially phased into the team, but now you'd say he's one of the first names on the team sheet because of the quality that he provides in forward areas and the service as well. You know, some of his crossing has just been amazing. And in that 4-1 game against Norwich, the fullback in that game, Jack Stacey, was trying to show Roberts onto his left foot, which is his quote-unquote weaker foot, but he still managed to find a cross of his left foot straight into the path of Marvin Dutch to score in that game. So he's really quality with both feet, and someone you can tell has played Championship football at the highest level and got promoted before.
Yeah, I was looking at the performance of the young lad in midfield. The number 8, is it Pate? Is it
Pate Soho.
Yeah. Pate, yeah. He's a very good player. I watched him close the other night, but I watched the whole performance, and he shone for me. I thought he looked like a really good player. How's the midfielders' performances been this year? Doyle's played in there as well, but he played the other night. I don't know if he's played in it every game. He played like with like almost like with 2. He played with a 4 with the 2-3-1. Is that how it's been in every game, Sam, so far?
It's a flexible 4-2-3-1. It's very versatile the way that people move about. But yeah, on paper, that is the formation. And we've had a lot of different combinations in the centre of midfield this season, because we started off with Pekin Iwata, which was pretty much the unchangeable team from League One, you know, those two in the middle. But since then, we've had injuries and suspensions and whatnot. So players have moved around a little bit. So Mark Leonard's had a bit of game time in the centre of midfield. Tommy Doyle, our new signing, has now stepped into the starting 11. And Tomoki Iwata has actually moved over to right back, which has been a bit of a masterstroke from Chris Davis, because it was something that we had to do with Ethan Laird and Messiah Samuel picking up injuries. But then Iwata at right back's just been a revelation, because the amount of times that he just gets up and down the pitch and the stamina, it's been amazing to watch. And then you have now Pake and Doyle that are the two holding midfielders. And I feel like both of them have very good qualities with the ball in possession, but can also roll their sleeves up and kind of get dirty with their challenges, you know, because in the Championship, it's so hotly contested in that midfield, you know, with the amount of physical capable players and then also the players that can string passes around you. So I feel like they've got the right skill set to thrill in the Championship. And Pake's goal against Watford on Monday really showed his capabilities, not just as a sort of defensive midfielder, but going forward as well, because he made a slide tackle on Kiprianu, drived up the pitch and bent his effort into the bottom corner. So it's showing both sides of his game. So I feel like Pake's someone that has really stepped up to the plate this season. Was initially signed by Tony Mowbray when we got relegated, but in League One stayed around, and I thought he was going to be one of the first players to go. But he believed in what Chris Davis was setting out for the team, promised him a load of minutes, got a load of minutes, and has just only improved as a player, really.
Yeah, they look good in midfield. I was really impressed with the two midfielders. Obviously, Gray, he was the standout performer on the night, but I just thought as a unit, like I said, you touched upon it. You work hard, you dig in, and when there was tough moments in the game, you seem to be able to see it out, and that was like the really impressive thing. I see this as a really big test for our team at the weekend. So we're on the back of a defeat against Millwall. It was late on, and I don't know how that affects our players. You obviously probably a little bit less rest time, but you go and get a victory on Monday night, which gets you buoyant, and then you come south to the South Coast, and you're looking to improve your away form. Do you see that result on Monday night has been a bit of a kick? Here we go. Let's get into this festive period and really kick on.
I feel like this December time is going to be a real teller for how our season goes going into the new year, because you see the nature of the championship, how sort of tight it is in between that sort of playoff and mid-table position, where a couple wins in a row could put you right up in the playoff picture if you're in like 14th, 15th. Yeah. So I feel like this moment of the season is going to be really telling for who's going to be up there come 2026. And for Birmingham's case, having won that game against Watford, which moved us up, I think, 3 or 4 places, goes to show again, like, yeah, how tight this league is. So a couple wins between now and the new year would really put us in that playoff picture. And I think, as I said earlier on in the show, like most Blues fans want us to be contesting for those top 6 places. And I feel like in this league, if you sort of win a couple in the row, lose one, and then win your next 2, you're very firmly in the picture, because some of those teams that have got into the playoffs in recent years have got in there with like high 60s points. So if we're looking at the points per game, I feel like that works out into getting us into those top 6 places.
Yeah, look at your fixtures. You play us, obviously, at the weekend. You've then got a midweek game against QPR, followed by Charlton at home, Sheffield United away, and then Boxing Day, I believe you've got Derby County at home. So when you look at the fixtures on paper, actually, it's quite a favourable run of fixtures. You play us again at the end of December as well at St Andrews, which I was going to try and get to, though. It's Monday night. It's a great place to go and watch football. There's a run of fixtures, Sam. You look at them and think, do you know what? We could really make a claim for playoffs here.
I feel like the run of fixtures, although in the Championship, it's never sort of favourable, is it? Because it's all about which teams are in form, and a team could suddenly spring into it. But I feel like, yeah, the start of the season that we had, we played a lot of tough games. You know, you had Ipswich on the first day. You didn't know what kind of outfit they were going to be like. We had Leicester within the first month. I think we played Coventry in the first month as well. So a lot of the teams that were favoured to do well and that have gone on to do well, we had in those opening fixtures. And I feel like now going into the second half of the season, we do have a bit of an easier run, sort of going from, I'd say, January to February. That's the time where we can really make our mark. The December fixtures are always going to be tough because of the amount of games in a row, because you never know who's going to be injured or suspended. And I feel like we're still at this point where 1 or 2 injuries to key players could really derail some momentum. So just get through December, limited injuries, picking up points here and there, and then January and February is where you really get into your stride.
Yeah, no, without doubt, definitely. Other than the players I spoke about, who's your real standout performer? Obviously, we've named quite a few names in the show already. For you, if there's anybody you could choose as being the one to watch at the weekend at St Mary's, who would it be and why?
I'll go for an ex-Southampton player. I'll go for Christoph Clara, someone that I'd like to actually hear from you a bit more about his time at Southampton, because since he's joined Birmingham from Darmstadt, he's been superb in the middle of defence, and he's now the club captain. And you just saw straight away, as soon as he joined Birmingham, he had those leadership qualities to be able to be the captain, and he took that role up since Christian Bielix left. And he's just a real commanding force in there. He's someone that is never afraid to put in a challenge, wins virtually all of his aerial duels, and really dominant on the pitch in terms of his talking as well, and organisation. So in terms of trying to breach our defence, and you said about earlier the clean sheets, Christoph Clara is so important to keeping them clean sheets. So I'd say he's someone to really watch out for in this game. And if you beat Christoph Clara in an aerial duel, then I'd applaud you.
I'm looking forward to seeing him play, actually. I just didn't see enough of him when he was down here on the South Coast. I'd be intrigued to see what his performance is like at the weekend. I definitely one to watch. Jay Stansfield, he was a key man last year, scored a lot of goals. What's his performance has been like this year? Step back up to the Championship. Obviously, a lot, to have him in League One last year was an absolute coup, wasn't it? How's he performed this year back in the Championship?
So with Stansfield this season, I'd say that he's had a good season. People outside would look at like the £20 million price tag and go, can't believe that you're paying this, not really worth it because of the statistics and that. But he offers so much more than goals and assists. It's just like the pressing that he does from the front. It really sets the tone for the team. And I feel like we saw that against Watford on Monday, hence why he was voted man of the match on Sky. And you could see there that sort of the press that he used to operate to put those Watford defenders under pressure, and they were just kicking the ball out of play for a corner or a throw in just because of the amount of effort that Stansfield was putting into the press. And he's someone that done well last summer at the under-21s Euros with England, where we won that, and then he was starting the semi-final and final in those games. And it looks like he's added a new wrinkle to his game because he's got a lot better with the ball at his feet this season, Stansfield. So he's someone now that can actually drop a bit deeper and offer a bit more of an option to Peikendall to find that short pass into him rather than making runs in behind, because naturally in the Championship, the last time we were in there, we weren't having as much of the ball as what we do now. So the Blues midfielders before were looking for those balls like over the top or around the corner to Stansfield that was making those runs in behind the defenders. But this season, it's not really like that, because in League One, he had to adapt, by coming short. And I feel like now he's doing that even more with Marvin Dutch now ahead of him in the striker's position. So he's adapted his game and also made himself a better player all round, I believe.
Yeah, no, I'm always intrigued when I watch him play. He's got so much energy and so much quality as well. Looking forward to the game the weekend. Looking forward to the Blues visiting the South Coast. It's always a good fixture between us. Though we haven't played each other a great deal down here on the South Coast, because I was having a look today, and I looked back across the years, and there's not loads of games between us, Sam. How do you feel about the fixture coming down here? Southampton very up and down this year. We haven't quite got going yet. We've had a 4-game run where we look quite good. Then obviously we lost last weekend. How do you see it unraveling against a Saints side that have got parachute payments, spent a lot of money? How do you see it going?
I feel like Southampton will naturally kick into gear at some point, because you've got too many quality players to not kick into gear and really like chase down those playoff places. And I feel like that will happen in time. Obviously, the whole Will Still appointment was an experiment, and it didn't work the way that you guys wanted to. And now you've got Eckert in charge, who may get the permanent job if he does get a victory against Birmingham, because he's had those wins in a row. So I feel like Southampton, there's a bit of turbulence there from, going from Will Still now to Eckert to maybe finding another coach in charge. So I feel like there's a lot of moving parts at Southampton, but you do have quality players. And in particular, I'd say the quality players that are out wide for you, because Fellows is someone that in the Championship consistently has performed. And I feel like Cienza is a player that has all of a sudden emerged onto the scene that has shown real moments of quality. So I'm worried about your quality in the wide areas, because this season, as I said, like we've changed right back quite a bit. And Iwata's now the right back, but he is someone that does like to bomb forward and offer an option going forward in the attack. And it's whether he can get back to then recover that pace, because at West Brom, there was a couple of times where he got caught out by Mikey Johnston and Isaac Price, where there was that space in behind to drive into, and he just wasn't there. And Cochrane this season has had a couple of dodgy days, especially against Coventry, where he was caused real problems out wide by Sakamoto. So I'd say in the fullback areas and your wingers, that's somewhere where you could hurt us. But I'm just hoping that we can control the game in elements to kind of stem that flow. So I feel like it's going to be a really intriguing game, and I was thinking it's going to be a close game as well.
Yeah, the games that we've really struggled in at home have been against low block sides that want to sit in and just absorb pressure and just maybe potentially just want to hit us on the counter attack. Stoke City did it quite well, and they won the game. Preston come here, they sat and they just they didn't show too much ambition. And as the game went, they had the ability to stretch it when Saints started to really chase it. Do you see Birmingham coming to St Mary's, South Coast, the weekend and sitting back and absorbing pressure? I don't really see it, but then I don't watch Birmingham every week.
It has happened this season, and that's why I highlighted the Watford game as one of those ones that is one of our best of the season, because it wasn't a typical Birmingham League One performance. It was an adapted Championship performance, which got us 3 points. And our best away performance this season was against Preston, where we won there 1-0. It was a Phil Neumann header from a set piece that won us that game, and then it was back to the wall pretty much for the whole of the second half. And we did do that well that day, but we just haven't done it enough this season away from home. So I'm really hoping in this game that we can get an early goal and then hang on to something, because I feel like if it's 0-0 and as the game goes on, it will be a bit of a stick or twist element to it. So whether we are happy with the point or we go for free, but I feel like an early goal would settle some of those tactical confusions for Chris Davis. And that's not really the way football works, is it? There's so many unpredictable elements that happen. So yeah, I mean, if it's predictable as Preston, then I'd be happy. But I'm sure that Southampton are going to put up more of a fight.
I do think it'd be a really good game. The two wingers for Southampton will be absolutely key in the game. Fellows and Cienza, if they're at it, they are both like dynamite. They can be so good and they can pull teams apart just by their pace and their power. And that creates a bit of space because Adam Armstrong kind of drops into midfield a little bit more now under Eckert, and he allows players to get forward from midfield. So I do see it like on paper. And after talking to you, I'm quite excited by the fixture. It will be a really good game, I think. Score prediction, Sam. What's your score prediction?
I'm going to say 1-1. I'm going to say a point.
Go with the draw.
I reckon that we will get the first goal, but then you'll equalise, and it will be a thing where we're happy with the point. That's what I think. Like going into this game beforehand, I'll take a point in it. I feel like it's important for us not to lose our away games and then just really focus on the home form, because that's where we're really strong. So if we can take a point at St Mary's with all these Christmas fixtures coming up and New Year fixtures, then I'll be happy with that. And after seeing what you guys done to Charlton, it can be a scary opposition.
Yeah, we had a really good day. A lot of space to play in that day. Got to say, Charlton were well off it. We played well, but Charlton gave us a lot of space in central midfield to play, and it allowed the two midfielders to really dictate the play. And Saints moved the ball quick. They reverted to a few old habits at Millwall at the weekend, because Millwall just put a bit of a press on Saints, and they played the higher line like Charlton did, but they just kind of like they went man for man. I just didn't let Saints play. I think it's going to be a really intriguing one. Sam, you've been a great guest. You always are a great guest when we speak. So thank you very much for coming on. Good luck for the rest of the season other than Saturday. And I hope it unravels well for Birmingham City. We'll catch up in a couple of weeks' time, because we play you it's just after Christmas, maybe just before New Year.
Very quick decision. I think it's on the 29th, isn't it?
Yeah, so around the 29th. I might try and have a conversation with you before that one. But it's been a pleasure having you on. Thank you very much indeed, Sam.
Cheers, man. Thank you.
Another superb guest on the Football Martin channel. I really enjoyed that conversation. Sam's a great guest, and his knowledge of Birmingham, as you can see, is absolutely implicable. I will be back tomorrow with a predicted lineup. I'm going to have a bit more of a match preview. We're going to have a little look at the head-to-head and a predicted lineup. We'll grab some press conference quotes as well. Press conference hasn't taken place today, Thursday, so it will be tomorrow. I'll grab you all the quotes. Tonda Eckert could be announced as the Southampton manager by then as well, because there are a few rumours circulating that it could be announced at some stage this evening or potentially tomorrow. That's what I heard yesterday. But we will keep an eye on that one. Thank you very much for tuning in. Make sure you do get involved in the conversation below. Give me all your thoughts on this one ahead of Saints Birmingham City this Saturday in the Championship.